How's it going, everyone? It's Mike Hardy back with another Reddit and Minecraft video. I hope you enjoyed the last couple of videos. They take me a little bit longer than I would hope to actually complete making them, so apologies if there's any delays. Not going to do too much yapping today about what I'm doing in the world. I just need to mine some magma cubes so we can make a gold farm. Yeah, we're going to use that gold farm to hopefully get us a lot of quartz so we can make a sorting system or an automatic sorting system for the entire server to use, since we kind of like to collectively share all our blocks and what we mine and whatnot if we're not using them. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video today, and we can get right into the first couple of stories. Alright, we're actually going to be looking at the subreddit called AITA today, which stands for Am I the Asshole? The first story today is titled AITA for not making my daughter-in-law coffee and telling her I am not a barista. My son and daughter-in-law are staying at our home probably for the next month due to water damage in their home. The company is fixing the damage, but the flooring was damaged, so it's not very livable right now. They have only been here less than a week, and I'm having some issues. I work at nights. I come home around 6:30 a.m. and then go to bed. My husband is usually up, so I make him a coffee/breakfast before I turn in. Just something I like to do. More of the quality time before he heads to work. I asked my son and Emily, who is my daughter-in-law, if they would also like some coffee or some breakfast before they go to work. They said no to food, but yes to coffee. That was easy, and I just made 2 extra cups. I asked them to tell me if they wanted me to change how I make their coffee, and I thought they would just tell me, oh, use some creamer, or maybe some preference in a coffee bean blend. Emily, who's my daughter-in-law, texted me that night, saying that she left instructions for the coffee. This morning, I came home to a very detailed instructions about how to make a complex coffee. It was like a Starbucks drink. She wanted foamed milk on top, different syrups, and a specific coffee mead. On top of all that, she wanted me to use a completely different brewing method. I decided I wasn't going to do all that, and just to make the normal coffee. Emily wasn't too happy, and we got in an argument before she went to work. Basically, I told her I am not a Starbucks barista, and I am not going to do all that. She told me I shouldn't have offered in the first place if I wasn't able to make the coffee to her liking. We left on a sour note. I've been getting texts from my son about not being hospitable, and I'm having trouble sleeping at the moment. Should I just make the coffee? My answer is absolutely not. You should not make the coffee. Like you said before, you are not a Starbucks barista. The way she's asking you to make her coffee is a little bit ridiculous. You just got home from work very, very late at night, or I guess in the morning. You need your sleep, and I understand why you do it for your husband. But these people are guests at your house. You're extending a helping hand to them by letting them stay. I think they're really overstepping their boundaries by asking you to make some crazy coffee that's very much out of your capabilities, which you would have to go buy completely new items and different syrups and different beans for. I think that's completely ridiculous. You are definitely not the asshole in this situation by any sort of means. Your daughter-in-law is definitely the asshole. I understand why your son was standing up for his wife, which I completely understand. However, sometimes you need to put your partner in check if they're being completely unreasonable. I really hope that your son doesn't have to deal with this at their own home life. However, I just wish you the best. I don't think you should make the coffee, and you should really talk to your son about who he's with and how she acts, because it's a little ridiculous. The next story of the day is titled AITA for telling my mom's boyfriend his son is not my responsibility. My 20 male parents divorced when I was 16, and it was messy. I live with my mom and her now boyfriend Mark, who is 43, and Mark's son Liam, who is 11. I'm in my second year of college, which is its own special kind of stress with exams and different projects. The dynamic is fine, usually. Mark is okay, but he usually has a habit of assuming I'm a newly acquired babysitter. Liam is a good kid, but he wasn't raised properly, and he's just 11. He's energetic, loud, and is very impersonable, and doesn't really understand the concept of personal space yet. This issue happened this past Saturday. I had a massive assignment due on Monday morning, and I was planning on spending the entire weekend at the library on campus. On Saturday morning, as I'm packing my bag, Mark comes to me and lets me know that him and my mom are going away and I need to keep an eye on Liam. I was immediately stressed, so I told him, I can't do that. I have to go to the university and focus on my work. He waved me off and said it was fine, that I should take him along to the campus and keep him busy on his tablet. I immediately was like, F no, I'm not taking an 11-year-old to my university while I need to focus on a big submission. I said no, trying to be firm, and I said that I can't be responsible for him for the entire day at my university. I asked him if he couldn't stay with a friend or at his grandma's or mom's house. Mark's face fell flat, and he looked genuinely annoyed. He told me it's just for one day, and that trying to organize stuff with other parents and other family members would be too much of a hassle, and it's the least I could do to help out. I couldn't take it honestly, so I snapped. I've been under a lot of pressure for my printing assignments and group work, etc. This was the last straw. I told him that Liam was his son, not mine, and that he is not my responsibility. I didn't have to choose to have a kid when I wasn't ready, and my only obligation is to get my degree and to move out. They both went silent for a bit, visibly upset after a while, and Mark just said it's fine and I shouldn't even bother asking them for favors in the future. My mom, later that day, texted me and said I was very disrespectful and hurtful, which I did lose my temper slightly, but I feel like they had no right to try to force Liam as my responsibility last minute. Am I the asshole for what I said? I'm going to say that you aren't the asshole in this situation. However, I think how you phrased what you said about not wanting to take care of Liam was a little bit of an asshole move. But that does not mean that Mark can just push babysitting responsibilities onto you for any reason, no matter what. You have your own responsibilities with university right now, which should be your main focus because you're setting yourself up for the future. Watching Liam is going to very much hinder that, especially if you have projects that are due on Monday that you plan on spending the entire weekend at a university for. I also think it's a little bit disrespectful of Mark to just assume that an 11-year-old can go to a university library. I haven't really seen that ever happen before, so I think it's a little bit of an unrealistic expectation. I also really think that you need to set some boundaries with Mark and your mother because they shouldn't tell you or spring on babysitting responsibilities the day of. I completely understand you helping out and by watching their son every once in a while, but I think springing it on somebody the day of is so rude and very inconsiderate. If they had this trip planned at all, they should have let you know, or at least asked you instead of springing it on you weeks in advance whenever they might have planned this trip. So again, going out on a limb here, I'm going to say that you are not the asshole in this situation. Just going through some of these Reddit stories, I feel like all of these are about kids today for some reason, or somebody else's kid. So bear with me, it's just how the theme has been for today when picking out these stories. But this next one is titled AITA for telling my mom why she had kids. I, 17 female, am still in high school and I live in an area where it's really hard to get a job. I don't have a car because there's no money for driving school. Recently, my mom, 37, told me that she's not going to buy food for us anymore because, quote unquote, we are all grown and everyone has to go buy their own food. This all started because after she asked my brother, who is 19, who works, and also uses her card to get to work, to give her $100 to buy food since we rely on SNAP in the government and it shut down recently. He refused, so she decided she's not buying food for anyone and that everyone has to fend for themselves. I completely lost it when she told me this and said, "Why did you even have kids? Why have kids if you're poor and you just end up regretting them?" She talks about how we ruined her life, so I just snapped. I asked why. At 17, broke, and having to take care of her own family, she decided to have kids anyway. Kids that she trauma dumps on every chance she gets. She always lets my brother have his way and then gets mad at the rest of us. In the heat of the argument, I told her if she really didn't want us, she should have just aborted us or never had us in the first place. I said that if she really wanted to punish someone, it should be my brother, since he's the one who refused to help in the first place. She went on to say, quote, "I should have, but you guys are grown. I already raised you. I already raised you." I know what I said was rude and disrespectful, but it's just so hard to be when I'm this angry and hurt. Wow, this one is a deep one. I'm going to go off the end and say that, one, you are not an asshole. You are still a minor, and it's still your mother's responsibility to take care of you no matter what. Legally speaking. I understand that you guys aren't very well off, and you rely on government benefits, which is recently shut down. And I'm really sorry that that has happened to you, because that's not fun whatsoever, or that's the amount of hardships. Fortunately, I'm in a situation where I don't have to deal with government food stamps and having to worry about where my next meal is coming from. Regardless, yes, your mom is the asshole in this situation. She has to take care of you. And it also doesn't sound like your mom has a job either, since you didn't mention that in here, but you only mentioned that your brother has a job. So if she doesn't, I would say that she needs to go get a job and go feed her kids. I understand where your frustrations are coming from, how your mother had your brother and you at a very young age, and you've always kind of grown up in poverty, and you feel like you don't have many opportunities, and it's not like you were chosen to be born into this world. I also think that your brother doesn't have to be responsible for you or your mom either. I would really recommend that you and your brother just try to get out as soon as you turn 18 and try to start a better life somewhere else, because that's very unfair to you and your brother to have your mom kind of leech off of you like that. I'd also recommend maybe trying to go to a food bank to try to get some food. If you're still in school, I'd recommend talking to a guidance counselor as well. At your school, they would usually be able to set you up with some programs for some minors that are in need that don't really have the parental support. I saw a lot of people in the comments telling you to call CPS on your mother. Honestly, I think that's a little unnecessary in this situation. You're about to move out anyway. I think you should be able to get by going to food banks and as well as talking to your guidance counselor at school. But I would just say as soon as you can get out of Dodge, I would hit the road for sure. This next one today is titled AIDA for telling my friends to get fucked. I'm a 29-year-old female and I love to cook. I cook all kinds of stuff: tofu, chicken, soup, sausage, Asian, Mexican, Italian, etc. I love to make things from scratch. 2 examples. 1, I was in my tofu kick, so I made my own tofu from raw soybeans, and I was on a chalupa kick, so I made them. I love to bake Christmas cookies and make little treats for my friends and family. Anyways, this is hard to explain, but I take a lot of pride in making food, and I love to feed people. My 2 closest friends, 21 female and 25 female, shit on me every time I make something that basically isn't chicken tenders. I made a chicken gnocchi soup, and one tells me that it looks like it has bugs in it. I make a tofu stir fry, and the other tells me it looks like poop from a butt. They know it bothers me, but they still continue to do it. It's not like I forced them to eat the food. I did make the 21-year-old female try tofu for the first time. I will admit, the tofu dish didn't look how I wanted it to, but it did still taste delicious. Today I woke up to a Facebook post of them publicly mocking me and telling me how my food is only meant for starving children, and I told them both to get fucked, and now I'm considered the dramatic one. Am I the asshole? I don't think you're the asshole. I also think that you have pretty bad friends if they're publicly kind of messing with you online and calling you out saying that your food is bad. I do feel like there's a little bit more to the story that we're missing in a way. But just taking it at face value, I'm going to say that you're definitely not the asshole, and your friends are kind of being extremely rude and mean to you. I can't relate though. I really do like cooking a lot, and I especially like cooking for people that I enjoy spending my time around, and I think it would be a real punch in the gut if they ended up not liking what I made. It depends though. If I make something and I mess up making it and it ends up tasting pretty bad and I don't like it and they don't like it, that's completely understandable. I'm a little bit more embarrassed for myself. However, if I make something and I do enjoy it and they don't like it, I could see where you can get pretty offended with that, because not only do you care about the food that you make, you also care about what they think, because they are some of your closest friends and whatnot. Overall, I'm going to say that you're not the asshole. Them posting it online was very mean of them. I think you should really evaluate getting new friends. All right, this next story from AITA. We're going back to the original theme about sons and daughters. So this one is titled AITA for docking my son's allowance, the amount he made my premiums go up. And for those who are not aware, premiums, he's talking about insurance. I, 50 male, just switched over insurance companies to try to save some money because I've instituted a monthly budget to stop our overspending for our family of 5. The new insurance company asked for my 19-year-old male's driver's ed completion certificate. I contacted the company, who said that he cannot get the certificate because he skipped over the online portion. However, my son did pass the class and the road test, but has an objection to completing the actual online portion because it is pointless. I explained to my son that no matter how pointless it may feel, it was a term in our contract with our insurance company, and he is the one who's breaking it. As a result, my insurance has gone up $13 more a month. I still give him allowance, but I've reduced it by that $13 a month because I told him he is 100% responsible for not completing the course, which costs $715, by the way. Am I the asshole? Am I being petty for nickeling and diming a young man by shaking him down to help me pay my bills? My other options included just to take him off my policy and forbid him to drive at all, or make him reimburse me for the $715 as I paid for his driver's ed. I didn't do any of that. I think I'm invoking a natural consequence based on real-world impact and not vengeance. It's literally one less 3-piece combo per month. Am I the asshole? I'm going to go on a limb and say that you are not the asshole in this situation. So it was worded a little confusing in the actual text, but just to sum up what the dad is saying is his son, who's 19 by the way, completed a driver's ed course. He did the minimum to pass, which is completing the test and the road test. However, there was an optional online portion that he didn't do. With that online portion being incomplete, his insurance went up $13 a month. So the dad is taking $13 a month out of his allowance. And he's asking if he's the asshole or not. I'm going to be completely honest with this man here. Your son shouldn't be getting an allowance at 19. He has a car he can drive. Go get a job, dude. And you know what he should also be doing? He should be paying for his premiums in full. I understand that it's probably bundled up with your family of 5 between you, your wife, your daughters, and your sons and whatnot. Make him pay his portion. I think that's a very simple answer. Like, he's not a minor. He's 19. He has a car. Make him go get a job. Make him go pay his own insurance. It's really not that hard of a concept to grasp. I think you should completely cancel his allowance. He needs to be faced with real life consequences. And sometimes if you don't do what is asked of you, you get slapped with fines and fees. And he needs to learn that. So I'm going to say in this situation that you're not the asshole, but you need to start letting your kid not mooch on mommy and daddy so much in the future. Am I the asshole for not giving up my hobbies? My dad recently married a girl named Kim who has 2 kids. I like to keep a busy schedule, so I attend soccer classes 3 times a week, crane class twice a week, piano classes once a week, and also a painting class once a week. Now, Kim thinks this is too much. She said that there is no time or money left for her kids. She thinks that I should stop playing soccer and piano because soccer is the most time consuming and piano is the most expensive. I told her that she is not paying for any of my classes or giving me to the rides to those classes, so it is none of her business. Perhaps she could ask their own dad to give them money and time, but oh wait, he's a deadbeat, so maybe she shouldn't have slept with him in the first place. She thinks I'm a selfish asshole for not giving up my hobbies for her kids. My dad is on my side, so I'm not worried, but she keeps whining, which is annoying. You are definitely not the asshole in this situation. Kim is definitely the asshole. You are not Kim's daughter. You like to go take Korean classes and play soccer and go to painting and whatever you do, like what you said earlier. That's none of her damn business if you want to continue doing those classes, and that you should cut out some stuff for her kids. Dude, fuck her kids. Who cares? Do what's best for you. It's your dad paying for it. It's not Kim paying for it. Maybe Kim should go get another job to go pay for her kids' stuff. I do think it was a little rude to say that maybe she shouldn't have slept with her kid's father. However, that is no justification for her harassment towards you. And your dad needs to really step up to the plate and tell her to stop harassing you about quitting some of your hobbies. I understand your dad's on your side, but he needs to stand up to you. That's a boundary that's being crossed with his daughter. Anyway, I know I said it before for this, but definitely not the asshole in this situation. This next one is a little bit different than what we're used to. It is titled, Would I Be the Asshole, instead of Am I the Asshole? So, let's see how this plays out. Would I be the asshole if I started locking our bedroom door in the mornings? My husband and I are on different sleep schedules. He tends to go to bed around midnight or 1 a.m. and wake up around 7 a.m. I don't go to bed until 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 a.m., and I tend to sleep around noon. I am aware my sleep schedule is horrible, but until I can get this fixed, this is what I'm living with. The issue is, my husband will routinely come into the bedroom and talk to me while I'm trying to sleep. It's never about anything important, and definitely nothing time sensitive that he couldn't wait until I'm awake. He comes back into the room every 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes just to make a random comment, sometimes just to ask me a random question. Sometimes he'll walk in and just stand in the doorway staring at me. I told him before that this feels like a passive-aggressive attempt to annoy me into getting up, and that it results in me already being irritated before I even get up for the day. His response is that's not how he means it, so it's fine. This morning, he sent a Roomba to our bedroom while I was still sleeping, and that thing roared and banged around while I was in there for over an hour. Would I be an asshole if I started locking the bedroom door after my husband gets up so I can finish sleeping? There's a second bathroom that he can use. It's the primary one he uses anyway, so I wouldn't be cutting him off from the only bathroom or anything. This way I can finish sleeping without becoming irritated at him first thing in the morning, and he can stop wandering in here for no reason. I don't know if it's just an ingrained habit at this point, or if he's really trying to annoy me into getting up, but he hasn't stopped despite me asking him to. So that was the end of the original post, but the poster ends up adding some comments to some frequently asked questions at the end, so I'm going to go add this in here. So the first edit is, since so many people ask me why my sleep schedule is so messed up, I'll put it here. I'm disabled and have chronic pain. If I go and lie down before I'm actually tired, I end up just lying there in pain. It's resulted in my sleep schedule getting pushed back later and later. Not ideal, but it's also something I can't just fix. I do not work. My husband is still technically employed, but is transitioning out and burning through his time off before he gets out, so he only goes into the office once or every other week. And there's a second edit to this as well. Many people are pointing out that maybe my husband is lonely, and that's a lot of hours we could be spending together, etc. We are together literally all day, nearly every day. He only goes into work once every 2 weeks, and even that is only for 3 to 4 hours at a time. We spend the rest of the time less than 10 feet apart from each other. We have plenty of time together. The few hours in the morning when I'm still asleep is the most time we spend apart. I'm really glad this poster added in those 2 edits at the very end, because originally I would have said that she was the asshole in this situation. However, after learning that she has chronic pain, which is the reason why she can't work, or the reason why it takes her a very long time to fall asleep, or why she's going to sleep so late and waking up so late in the day, it makes a lot more sense now. I think your husband is kind of the asshole. If he truly understands that you're in a lot of pain all the time, especially when you're laying down and you want to use those extra hours that he might be awake, however you're asleep, to actually sleep, and he's just asking you random questions, like, he has no boundaries with you whatsoever, and that's so weird. Like, I wonder why he's doing that, especially after you asked him to stop. I also think that locking the door isn't going to really solve your problems anyway, because you've already asked him to stop to begin with. What is a door? He's just going to knock on the door, or he's going to try to open the door and shake it and let you in. Yeah, overall, not the rest of the day. Am I the asshole for eating a whole donut that was brought into work as a reward / birthday party? So this has happened at 2 different places I work in. Someone or the boss would bring in donuts. And the size not cut up. This was a reward for the workers. I'm sitting in the lunchroom and took one whole donut and my boss got angry and started cutting them all in half. Another time, someone brought in donuts and different desserts on the plate since it was a late afternoon when I started my shift. I assumed people already got what they needed and I took one whole donut from the plate. Someone gave me a look in surprise and I feel guilty now. I just feel like if you bring in desserts or food, and if you want people to only have a certain amount, why not cut it up first and not serve a whole donut for everyone to take? It just makes me think it's acceptable to take a whole one if it's not cut up. I agree with you there. I think if there's a whole donut that's not cut up, then you should be able to take the whole donut. If there's a slice of cake already pre-sliced and people are mad at you for taking a slice of cake without cutting it up, that's their own fault. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think everyone else is kind of doing it. I really don't know who expects somebody to eat donuts cut in half too. If you bring in like a dozen donuts and they're all whole donuts, where is the assumption that you need to cut these donuts in half? I don't know, man. I think your coworker's weird. I think that you're fine. One of these other comments that I completely agree with says that if somebody is super hellbent on minimizing the portions that people take, they should bring in mini donuts or donut holes. Exactly. Like, if you're really that hellbent on how much people eat, bring in the little munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts. It's really not that hard of a concept to grasp. This next one is titled, Am I the Asshole for Letting My Friend's Daughter Live on Our Rental Property rent-free without asking friends' permission first? When my mother died 15 years ago, I inherited her home. It's smaller than my own house, so my husband and I decided we would rent it out. It's already paid off, and we're making a decent bit of profit on it. The other important players in the story, my husband and I have been friends with Sam and George since we were in college. We all have kids of similar ages and they are close friends. The relevant children here are our son Henry, who is 24, Sam's son Kyle, who is 23, and George's daughter Anne, who is 24. Henry and Kyle are in grad school and working part-time. Anne finished grad school in the spring and has recently started her first big girl job, as she calls it. Originally, the three of them were sharing an apartment in the bad part of town. We didn't love that the kids were doing this, but they wanted to be independent and on their own, and this is all they could afford. However, after a couple of incidents within the building, I came to the kids with an offer. They could cover the bills in our rental, we wouldn't charge them rent, and they could live there. We won't profit off it anymore, and I'm okay with that, if it means that the kids have a safe place to live. The kids were on board and thanked us. I didn't even think about asking our friends this, because their kids are adults. Sam and his wife were cool with this. George, however, is very irritated with us. He says one of the reasons Anne moved out is because he wanted to charge her rent and teach her responsibility, and she said if she was going to pay rent, she might as well rent her own space. I pointed out that she would still be responsible for the bills, which 3 of them are splitting bills evenly, by the way, just not rent. He feels like this is spoiling the kids and wants to not let Anne live there. I said I'm not going back on this as it wouldn't be fair. My husband, Sam, and Sam's wife are on my side, though my husband feels like we should have asked George first before offering Anne. I think this is absurd because she is an adult and this is our property. We can do what we want, but am I being the asshole for offering this and not running it by George first? If you've listened to any of the other stories that I said today, you already know I'm going to say that you are not the asshole in this situation at all. Anne is a grown adult. She has graduated grad school. She at least has to be 25, 26 would be my guess. If she graduated grad school, she does not need to rely on her parents or to have her parents tell her what she can and can't do or where she can and can't live. I also want to point out that you are doing a very good service for these 3 kids. It's very nice of you to give them the rental property without paying any rent and just to cover the bills. I think that's great. Also, I know George wanted to teach his kids responsibility by paying rent. She's already paid rent before. She's already paid rent in the crappy apartment downtown where they live today. She already knows the responsibilities. It's just, it's not safe for them to live there. So, yeah, again, you're not the asshole. George is definitely being overreactive in this situation. Plus, again, she's an adult. She can do what she wants. And she's clearly already responsible if she has graduated grad school. I just think this is a little bit ridiculous from George. All right, this is the last one for today. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me. We should be done in a couple of minutes here after this last one is being read. Am I the asshole for catering to my niece's needs to have dino nuggets at every meal, but not doing the same for my kids? My husband and I divorced 2 months ago. I was a stay-at-home mom for my kids, 4 male, 6 female, and 8 male. I moved in with my sister and her kids, 12 female, 7 female, and 3 male. Her husband passed away 2 years ago, and she needed my help managing the house and kids, while I needed a cheap place to live. My sister is a doctor and works long hours, so most of the childcare and the household care is on me. I'm not working at the moment, but I went to school so I can get a job soon that will enable us to get our own place. While she does make good money, having 4 extra people move into her house does mean that expenses are higher than what they used to be. In order to make up for that, she switched her youngest to half-day preschool and is reducing her nanny hours. The nanny is also working at a reduced rate because she's only responsible for my 12-year-old niece. My 12-year-old niece has autism and ARFID, which is Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. She struggled with a change in routine and is expressing that through her food preferences. For the past month and a half, the only way she would be able to eat any meal at home with everyone is if there's dinosaur chicken nuggets on the plate. She and her mom have breakfast together before everyone makes up, and her mom still packs her lunch on school days, but for dinner on weekends, we all eat together, and I'm the one doing the cooking. She needs the chicken nuggets. She is slowly making improvements, but for the first few weeks, those were the only things she would eat at home. Now she's willing to eat other previously safe foods if the nuggets are on the plate. My other niece and nephew and my kids have been asking for dino nuggets at every meal like their sister/cousin. I've been refusing them because the rule is they need to eat whatever is prepared for them. My sister backs me up on this whenever she's home, but the kids are bringing it up to their grandparents and my ex, and they both agree that the rule should be that everyone eats whatever I make or dino nuggets should be available to everyone. Now I'm wondering if I'm being too strict on the younger kids or if the rule should be the same for everyone. I definitely think that you're not the asshole in this situation. Again, the reason why I think this is you're doing everything that you can for I believe your niece that has special needs. I understand that your kids might want some dino nuggets as well, and I think it's okay to give them the dino nuggets every once in a while. However, I don't think that they should be eating it for every single meal. Your niece has special needs, and you need to cater to those first. Your kids can suck it up and can eat whatever is prepared for them. I also think it might be good for your niece to be exposed to other people eating other foods as well. Because if she only sees that people are eating dino nuggets, then she might only be inclined to eat dino nuggets in the future as well. And it might be harder for her to actually train to eat other foods. I also think that giving your kids and your other nieces and nephews some dino nuggets every once in a while will just help cut down on the resentment just a little bit as well. If you give it to them every once in a while, maybe they'll just stop asking and nagging at you. Overall, I'm going to say that you're not the asshole, and I think you are a very good aunt and mother to these children. It seems like you put in a lot of work and a lot of special care for them, and I'm really happy that you're doing that because we've read some pretty crappy stories where people aren't providing that to some children today. So very much thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, as you know, I'm starting out, only have maybe 4 or 5 videos at this point, so I'd really appreciate any sort of feedback or criticism, good or bad. So if you have any sort of suggestions in the comments, like maybe if there's a different subreddit that I should be reading, if you think that the video looks bad or something needs to be changed about the audio, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to take those into consideration and to try to produce the best content that I can. But yeah, again, thanks for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you on the next one.